Well, I'll go ahead and call the meeting of the Point of the Mountain State Land Authority Board to order. Today is February 11th, 2026. Appreciate everyone who's joined here, board members and staff who've worked hard to get ready for this meeting. We don't typically have a meeting during the legislative session. However, because things are moving quickly on the project, it was important for us to meet together. So we appreciate the accommodations to have this virtual meeting today. As you can tell, I'm here up at the Capitol. Moving forward, I'm sure Jefferson's probably making his way here as well with work he has coordinating. I know Senator Stevenson has asked to be excused because of other legislative work that's going on, and so we've got an abbreviated agenda of just some critical items that we need to move forward with and get moving. I will mention that since our last meeting, our staff and our site crews have continued to make great progress on the critical backbone infrastructure. I think we're all on track to start seeing some vertical construction later this year, and we're excited for that and anxious to get a report from our good director a little bit later. And then we also are monitoring and involved in any legislative changes that we might see this session. I know Senator Stevenson has a bill, kind of a cleanup bill for the point, a number of issues that we're looking at, and we'll have an update in our next board meeting on any updates that came from the legislative session that affect the point. But with that, I'd like to move to the second item on our agenda, which is our public comment. As everyone knows, this is a public project, and we feel strongly as a board that we have a responsibility to ensure that this project reflects the input that we received and provides great benefit to the public generally. And so we always, at the start of our board meetings, welcome any member of the public to be able to come and present any thoughts or concerns that they have about the project. So let me go ahead and ask, since we're just meeting virtually today, is there anyone in attendance that wishes to share public comment? And if you do, if you would just raise your virtual hand. I'm not seeing anyone. All right, we'll go ahead and close public comment and move to the third item on our agenda, which is consideration of the minutes from our last board meeting, January 14th, 2026. Really appreciate Jen for putting together these detailed minutes. And these minutes were contained in our board packet, so everyone should have had a chance to review those. So with that, can I get a motion to approve the board minutes from January 14, 2026?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor Walker. And a second?
I would second that.
Okay. Lowry beat you to the punch there, Director Moss. So
That's good.
we have a motion. Second, any discussion to the motion to approve the board minutes? Seeing none, I'll place the motion. All those in favor of approving the board minutes from our January 14, 2026 meeting, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. I'll rule that passes unanimously. Let's move on to the fourth item on our agenda, which is our financial update. We recognize the trust that's been placed by the public to ensure that the Land Authority's funds are appropriated and spent in a manner that's consistent with our approved budget. And so with that, I'd like to turn some time over to Don Willey, our Director of Operations, to review our monthly financials that ended just this last month. Go ahead, Don.
Thank you, Representative Tusher. Pleased to report on our finances this month. We should be sitting at about 40%, 42% with our budget remaining at this point in the fiscal year, which ends at the end of June. As you can see, we are looking very healthy across the board with our total budget allocation at 90% remaining at this point in time. This is as of the end of January 31st, 2026. As we've reported in the past, we've had a few areas where we're burning a little bit higher. Again, that comes down to one-time expenses for the most part. I do want to report back on our data processing charges. I did a full audit in connection with the Department of Technology Services, and I found that the billing is accurate. We have an additional computer that we've been using for Zoom meetings and neglected to account for that in our budgeting for it. So that is the only one that we expect to need a budget line adjustment for prior to the end of the fiscal year. Aside from that, everything is as anticipated and looking healthy.
Great. Thank you for that report, Don. We have a couple board members who sit on our subcommittee for finance and audit, Mayor Ramsey, Mayor Walker, and Director Ambray. Anything that you would add to this discussion?
No, I've thoroughly gone through this question, multiple line items, and I'm very familiar with the budget, and I appreciate Don's work.
Great. Well, is there any question or discussion of the budget?
Mr. Chair, I have just a quick question.
Go ahead.
Don, remind me, I believe the statute requires an audit of us annually of POMSLET. Am I right about that? When is that usually conducted?
You are absolutely correct. We are in the midst of that right now. In our discussions with the state auditor's office, they have asked us to prepare out external financial report. So we have a third party that is preparing that report. They will then audit it. In the past, we've just done agreed upon procedures with the activation of PID number 1. They have moved us to a new category from their audit review. So we're in the process with that third party right now to complete those documents. Once that's completed, we'll submit that to the state auditor's office. I'm in close contact with them or providing updates on a regular basis, so they're in the loop and know the timing associated with that report. As soon as it's ready, we'll forward it on, and we'll move forward with the audit with the state auditor's office.
Thank you for that update.
Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you, Co-Chair Snow. I'm not seeing any other questions from the committee, so I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve our January financials.
I would make that motion, Representative, Mr. Chair, if that's appropriate.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Snow. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Director Moss. Any discussion of the motion? Seeing none, I'll place it. All those in favor of approving our January financials, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. I'll rule that passes unanimously. All right, that leads us to the fifth item on our agenda, our director's reports. We're excited to hear from our good Executive Director, Michael Ambray, who can give us an update on the wonderful things that have happened since our last board meeting. Director, time is yours.
Thank you, Co-Chair Tusher. So in the past, I've given an update on infrastructure that's going on the site, and I thought I would just do kind of a 2025 year in review. So far we've had 855,000 cubic yards of material moved and placed to create the sub base for roads. We've also had over 33,000 feet of concrete pipe installed for sewer and storm drain. That's about 6 miles worth. We've had 16,700 feet of conduit for electrical duct bank and fiber installed, and almost 5,000 tons of asphalt placed, starting the roads for this new development. So there's a lot going on. We anticipate the bulk of all of the on-site utilities, the backbone infrastructure, to be completed this fall. So that's good news. POMSLA has implemented a quarterly coordination meeting with the Point Partners. We held our first one last week. It was very successful. In this meeting, we did some strategizing about new goals for this upcoming year. And it was such a success that we decided to hold this meeting quarterly. It was intended, the original meeting would just be a one-off, but then we decided to go ahead and move this to a quarterly meeting. And I just wanted to extend the invitation. Both co-chairs were invited to this meeting. And so that leaves sort of one position available if an additional board member would like to attend. So it would be a first come, first serve. And then I can have Jen send that invitation out. And again, it would just be a first come, first serve. In this meeting, we did discuss economic development. We discussed schedule moving forward. Also, obviously, coordination of utilities on site. And then a PR strategy for communications moving forward. I've heard from multiple legislatures and city council people and my own board members that we need a better strategy moving forward with communication and getting public information out there about progress on site. So we have implemented a quarterly newsletter that will come out. The first one will come out today after this meeting, and then quarterly after that. I'll move into legislative updates. POMSLA is tracking over a dozen bills right now. My team and myself.
Director, maybe before
Sure.
you move on, I see that Co-Chair Snow has a question. So
Absolutely.
we go to him and then get the update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not so much a question, but I was able to attend that meeting and wanted to tell you how important that I thought it was. And not only obviously to have Mike there, but also Don and Nick. But one of the most important things that I think came out of that was setting some deadlines, Mike, for some what.
Larry, you muted. You just got muted. I'm not sure how. It's
Still muted, Lowry.
Looks like on Zoom it's showing you muted. There
How
you
about
go.
now?
Yeah,
Perfect.
Okay.
you're good.
Did anyone hear anything I said?
We
Yeah,
heard
it was
the
right up
first
until
few minutes.
deadlines.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying, I thought one of the most important parts of the meeting, Mike, was the setting of some deadlines by our point partners that I thought was significant and gives us some milestones to work towards. Anyway, it was a great idea setting that up, Mike, and I'm glad that we're doing it quarterly moving forward.
Thank you, Lowry. Yeah, there's a lot of exciting projects moving forward, and we're really excited to announce these and celebrate these in the upcoming months. Moving on to legislative updates. POMSLA is tracking multiple bills, over a dozen. We've been working with legislators and my team to analyze how they affect not only POMSLA, but is there a financial impact as well? So far, a lot of it's just reporting at this point, so there's not too much of an impact. We also have our own bill that Senator Stevenson is running, and as you mentioned earlier, it's a cleanup bill. It does three things in particular. The first is it adjusts the privilege tax capture. Right now, in the current statute, it lists that POMSLA will collect 75% of the privilege tax when we sell property, leaving 25% for the taxing entities. We've had multiple conversations with Draper, Mayor Walker especially, and we've had this, we have some language changing that and exactly reversing it. So it would basically give the taxing entity 75% and POMSLA would retain the 25%. And that 25%, I just wanted to mention, and Troy and I talked about this yesterday. That 25% really goes back into the project for operational fees. So what I mean by that is there's river to range, the landscaping needs to be maintained and replaced, at certain points. There's a lot of trees along the streets and things like that. This money would go towards helping those type of operations. Secondly, last year we had some legislation that cleaned up a few things, but what we didn't do is limit the 90% privileged tax capture for TPP. We really define that that's really within the 105 acres of phase one. So outside of that 105 acres with additional phases, we will negotiate those individually moving forward. And then the last one creates some language for if we did sell a portion of the property for owner-occupied housing, we would, this bill the language basically identifies entering into a developer agreement with Draper City and creating some zoning that would benefit our project boundaries. So those are the three items within our bill. Any questions on those?
I think it might be helpful as well. We've got Director Moss on here. He's been working closely with HB 475, and I know there's been a couple questions about that and how it affects the point. Director Moss, could you just give us an update on that?
Yeah, happy to. And yeah, so this bill was really an effort we're already doing. When I was put in this new role at GOEO, one of the things that we've had, I'd say it was a combination of a need and a directive of the governor, speaker, president, was we need to make sure we're coordinating better, making sure we're all working together. GOEO really should be kind of tip of the spear in helping coordinate economic development efforts. I've kind of felt both sides of this. I've been frustrated there hasn't been enough direct engagement. I know it's stepped up and Don's been working closely with my team, but really having GOEO leading in more and getting more engaged in these projects, particularly with the point. And so really all this bill does is creating a coordinating council. Mike's already been to 2 of these. It's a way for us to all hear different elements that are going on, hearing, if there's issues around, we've got a company that's looking, but they have a specific need. It's a workforce need. It's a regulatory need. Whatever that is, it just creates a place where we can meet up regularly and make sure the state is really coordinating efforts on how we're going after corporate recruitment. So that's really all the bill does in terms of what it touches the point. But again, the goal and intent is helping us as a state be better at leaning in on different opportunities.
Great.
But I don't know if there's any questions on it. That's the gist of the bill.
Does anyone have any questions on any of the legislation that's being proposed?
I have a quick question. Is 475 the one that creates the committee, state committee that oversees tax increment?
No, that's a different one.
That's a different bill. Okay.
505, I want to say.
I can't recall. I know there's one there that creates a separate committee or commission for looking at participation from tax increment. And I wasn't sure I couldn't remember which bill that was in. So.
No, that's the other one that Representative Roberts is running. And I think that's
right.
Also created some of the questions around this bill, is there was a thought this is creating new responsibility. This one really isn't. It's just saying, let's all work together, but creating a more formalized approach. Yeah.
And that one is HB 507.
507. Okay.
Before, I apologize for interrupting,
Go ahead.
Chair, but I just had a question, Jefferson, if you're still there.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting. I'm excited about this Economic Development Council and this coordination effort. I'm curious, it sounds similar to what's been tried to be done at EDCU, but maybe making this much more formal and input from government. How does this work relate to EDCU, and is there going to be an alignment there?
Yeah, no, in fact, I appreciate the question. This is more trying to coordinate the government entities. So the point, the port, the fair park, these are the authorities that the state's created. And I will say, in a lot of ways, I think this actually helps to alleviate some concerns where people were feeling like we have all these entities just off doing their own thing that are quasi-government entities. So really, that's kind of this part. But in terms of how we incorporate in with EDC, there's a number of groups, EDC being one of, that are also part of that. We don't put them in code, but they are also invited to every meeting, and they're part of this coordination. I would also include World Trade Center, because there's a lot of international things that are coming in. And then I would even say DNR, for instance, that's getting a lot of people that are coming to them, first around an energy project or mineral project, and they're not really bringing the whole team together. So there's a couple other entities, but yeah, so EDC is very aligned. In fact, Lowry, for your benefit, When Ryan kind of gave up, I wouldn't say didn't continue the contract here and then went over to EDC. It was kind of a weird period when I just joined on and we're trying to figure out what our roles are and how we work together. We have since come up with a really good MOU. We did a request for appropriation together this year where we have some clear lines of who's doing what and how we complement each other. So I also think there's some great work happening there where we're going to have better alignment. But Ryan, EDC is very much part of this council that we're doing.
I think it's a great move, and I think it's I think the legislation points out that it's going to be led by I think leadership of the legislature, right? Are they chairing it? Who's chairing it?
I think it's GOEO, right?
Yeah, the governor is kind of leading it, but the designee would be me. But yeah, so it's under the direction of the governor, and really that's kind of who should be leading economic development. You know, is the governor? Yeah.
Oh, that's terrific, especially to have your presence here and have you leading the charge there in GOEO. So I think it's a great move for us. Thanks.
Yeah, and I'll add my 2 cents on that as well. I think it's a good move. I think one of the things that has been a question as we've set up all of these entities is how can we help coordinate to ensure that we're getting the best benefit across the board for the state. So if a major player comes in and says, "Hey, I want to build a campus here," what we don't want to have is that we're competing now against these other state projects. When it makes more sense to be in one than the other. And so having that coordination and someone that's looking at the big picture and then able to use some of the assets we have. I know that the speaker has said to me that, if we have a company out there that's really interested, that would be a good fit for the point, he's happy to jump on a plane and go out and meet with them and explain the environment in Utah and why they should come here. And I think the president said the same thing. The governor said the same thing. But again, it's that coordination that I think needs to happen. And I appreciate Director Moss's efforts in trying to do that in a kind of working group sense. But I think formalizing it here will even add more emphasis and ability to get that job done.
Well, and just one last piece on that, Chair. I think I've told this already to this group, but we're building out our new strategic plan. And it's very clear several of the main points of our plan are how do we really lean in on these generational projects, one being the point, the other being the port. And I hope Don feels this, but we want to accelerate that even more in terms of our partnership and us helping you like go out and identifying, hey, we're looking for these types of companies. I'm getting my team more proactively thinking about that. And in the past, that's not really been the case. We would wait for companies to come to us, and wherever they wanted to go, we'd give them an incentive. And so we will be leaning in more over the next few months, and you'll see that as we roll out our plan, how we want to support the point.
That's great. Well, let's get back to Director Ambrey. I don't see any other questions about legislation.
Mr. Chair, could I make one comment?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Mayor Walker.
With respect to the change in the tax increment going back to the 25% versus 75%, with all the property tax business that's a swirling afoot, Mayor Ramsey and I feel it more than the rest of you because we're local governments and we fund almost all of our municipal services. Not all, but most of our services come out of property tax, police, fire, parks, all that. I think it's important to note that this money that the point ultimately collects in property tax is not a general fund, revenue source, but a operational revenue source where the things the point has agreed to do, that landscaping, maintenance on different things, that's what that money is being used for, so that the public can understand we're doing the same things with the property tax that we would have done with the property tax. I think that's just important for people to realize. So, going forward anyway, I think it's good that we're working that direction, and hopefully it'll work out as we go forward.
Thank you for that comment, Mayor Walker. Appreciate it. Director Ambrey, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Representative. So a couple more items. I just wanted to give a brief update on the for sale owner-occupied housing project. So this is a 50-acre parcel that we're looking to create single-family detached townhomes and mini condos. we've ran into three kind of hurdles, advancing this project. And I'll list those three. So first of all, we have identified a power line, a 45 kV existing power line that kind of splits our site. And to relocate that power line, it'll take about 12 to 13 months. We've been working and coordinating with Rocky Mountain Power. Also, we have to mitigate an existing construction debris pile that's been buried out there for years, and that we're working through that as well, and that takes some time. I believe we have some funds in this session that will help accompany that. And then trying to advance the engineering for the west leg of the backbone infrastructure. So when we do go out to the market for this housing product, we have sort of plug and play utilities and maximizing the value of the land. And so with that said, it looks like about this time next year is when we would solicit builders for the housing project. And then the final thing I just wanted to mention is we do have scheduled a partnering meeting with our infrastructure team. And so that includes Draper City, our third-party consultant Methods, our engineering firm Horrocks, and our contractor Geneva Clyde. Obviously, DFCM will be part of that as well. And this is just an effort to make sure that we're aligned in our goals, and also how do we improve on communication and in sort of plan review, on-site inspections, all of these things moving forward. We're at the very beginning of this project, and we just want to check in and make sure that we're all aligned for the long haul. That's all I have to report on today.
One other thing, just real quick, is that yesterday we had a site tour with some council members from Draper and Bluffdale, some new council members in Bluffdale, and a council member from Draper, and they got a chance to see on site and go with Mike and I and Dawn and Jen and see all the various improvements that are underway, plus an overview of the project. So we really enjoy doing those tours with the local elected officials. It gives them a real chance to see on site what's happening.
So I have a question. Thanks, Nick, for that update on reaching out to those folks. And I hope it went well. But my question is for Mike. The relocating of the Rocky Mountain, how large? I mean, it's a large power line.
Yeah, it's not a transmission line, but it is a distribution line. So this line is not part of the current, power corridor as we call it.
Right.
But it will be relocated into that corridor.
So does that time frame you're talking about, is this going to, it sounds like this is going to slow rolling this thing out time-wise. Am I right or wrong about that here?
Well, I look at it like this, Lowry. We need to put the infrastructure in so we maximize the value of the land when we go out to the market.
Right.
Secondly, I think timing wise, it makes a lot of sense to bring on these houses about the same time that the promenade and our other projects are coming online. So, what I mean by that is there will be shopping, there will be dining, and possibly even a grocery store when these housing units are available to the market, which makes it a little bit more desirable from they don't have to drive far away to get everyday items.
Right. Well, you and I have talked about that transmission line. And I know from work that I've done down here, it makes, you can build around them, but it makes it less desirable. So I'm glad that you're moving in that direction. I think it's going to make it a more marketable project residentially. There are still some people who believe, a lot of people, that living next to those kinds of transmission lines create health issues. And so I think getting rid of it, even though you're building it into the time frame, which I understand is actually not that bad from everything else, I think it's a good move. Just want to throw that out to you,
The,
Mike.
the real culprit is that it takes Rocky Mountain Power nearly a year to get the poles themselves for the relocation. That probably lends itself to the slowdown more than anything. Is the timing for Rocky Mountain Power to get the poles?
And I'm assuming they're not footing the cost of this, the bill. Is that right? So
I wish, Lowry. I wish.
yeah. Well, hopefully we can build it into pricing of this thing because it really does, in my view, enhance the value. So thanks again,
Agreed.
Mike.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions from members of the committee or comments? Not seeing any. Thank you for that great report, Director Ambrey. We'll move to the sixth item on our agenda, which is the Convergence Hall revised design plan. As you'll recall, last month we had an update from the Nucleus Institute staff on Convergence Hall, and we talked about a potential lot line adjustment. And so in this meeting, we're now asking the board to entertain a lot line adjustment as requested by Nucleus to support their proposed building plan. So let me turn the time over to Director Ambrey again, who can present this request and add more color.
Thank you, Co-Chair Tusher. I was wondering if Jen could share her screen. She has the two exhibits. It was the previous exhibit that was agreed to in the original DDA, and then it is the revised exhibit that would expand the footprint of the lot. So we can just be very transparent and clear on exactly what's being requested of the board. Jen, is there any chance you could share those? If you guys have a second, maybe I could try to pull them up myself. I apologize.
To find them.
Excuse me, Jen?
Sorry, I'm trying to find them. Oh,
My apologies. I should have prepped you for that. Well, let me just suggest this. So Angela Smith with Nucleus presented this in our last board meeting. She explained the difficulty in fitting the program within the footprint of the original plot. And so, through negotiations with both TPP and the Point, the program would benefit if we could, go more horizontal than vertical. And so that was brought up in the last board meeting. Okay, yeah. So if you can zoom in on that a little bit, Jen, and it will show the two different, the previous agreed to lot and then the second lot. So if you look at the J, which is our central green area, just to the right bottom of that J.
sorry. Trying to get it just right.
There you go. That works. The arc is sort of the original lot line. And then if you look at the bigger square, that's the adjusted lot line. And this will be ratified in a DDA amendment that we're hoping to complete by the March board meeting. And so this would be amended in the DDA at that point, but we just want to take action on it today if everybody agrees that this is the right, right move forward for Convergence Hall. And I believe last board meeting, there wasn't an action on the agenda, but everybody tended to agree that this is the right approach.
I think that's right, Director Ambrey. Let's go to members of the board. Any questions or comments before we go ahead and place a motion? Not seeing any. So let's just go to a motion then. The motion that we're looking for is to approve the change in the lot lines here as proposed in these documents that have been presented.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the lot line adjustment as presented.
Okay. That motion is in order. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, second from Co-Chair Snow. Any discussion of the motion? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and place the motion. All those in favor of approving the lot line adjustments as presented here, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. I'll rule that passes unanimously. All right. Well, before that gets us through our agenda, I don't think we have anything in executive session that we need to discuss, so we'll skip that part of our agenda. But is there anything else that members of the board have that they wanted to discuss before we jump off here?
I just wanted to apologize for being late. It took me a half hour to be able to log in. So there was some kind of a kink with the link. I don't know we'll figure it out. I'm not worried, except that I tried for a really long time to get in. So sorry that I missed, 20 plus minutes of the meeting. I'll get caught up with the rest of what was discussed. And I think I got the gist of it because I caught the end of it anyway. But anyway, just wanted to apologize that it took me so long to get in.
Yeah, no worries, Mayor Ramsey. We had a couple other people share similar concerns. So Director Umbre, if you could work with Jen and kind of figure out what we need to do to make that a little more smooth next month, that would be great. And then we'll have a meeting link if you want to go back, Mayor Ramsey, and listen to the first 20 minutes.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for all the good work, everyone.
Okay, anything else? With that, I'll go ahead and entertain a final motion.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Motion to adjourn, that's non-debatable. Any discussion or we don't have discussion, it's non-debatable. So all those in favor of adjourning say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next month. Our meeting is on March 11th at 10 a.m. at the Capitol.